Before I came to Chicago, I had the opportunity to do something that to me was totally new and foreign. The culture out of which I came had no interfaith activities whatever. And I became intrigued. And not only intrigued, I formed rather close personal relations with some of the ministers of these various denominations. And it really began to enrich my life and to add a dimension to it that I had never experienced. And I found out that there was no such thing as a ministerial association. So when I came to Chicago, I realized that here in Edgewater we had nothing. That was in 55, 56. We found that people were quite willing to undertake such an organization. First, we met monthly, coming together and discuss problems either of the ministry or of the community. We decided that we would want to somehow contact every household in Edgewater. We would take 2 Sundays to visit and solicit certain opinions about what they thought about Edgewater. And after we were finished with this census, we decided to stick together. And E.C.R.A became then an organization of rabbi, Protestant, and Catholic ministers and priests. I know we created a different atmosphere. We got to know each other. The inherent and often traditional prejudices against each other became untenable. I think that the creation both of E.C.R.A and of the Community Council, which fell into my early years of being a rabbi with Emmanuel, really helped consolidate the community, develop a new awareness of Edgewater as an entity, and I think really had some beneficial direct consequences, even commercially. We just became a different climate. People began to talk about Edgewater as a very desirable place. We became immediately aware of the fact that we had the preconditions of racial trouble in Edgewater, just like any place else. And that it was one of our necessary and God-given opportunities to try to forestall it and to try to work on a sense of Edgewater. There were issues of humanity, of community, that were certainly worth addressing, that there was a possibility here in Edgewater to experience an entirely different style of life. We usually assume much worse of our neighbors and of our own selves than we are really capable of doing, and in which we can really eventually find a purpose for our lives that is far exceeds what we had originally assumed. I really think in a way that was one of the things that also then became kind of a pattern for other communities. That the work that we had done here in Edgewater had come to the attention of people far beyond Edgewater. The impact of what Edgewater was doing exceeded the confines of this community. Certainly were beset by the same problems that Chicago as a whole was beset. We were no exception in the sense we were not a privileged enclave in which nothing happened. We helped create an expectation for a much better life. We found out that diversity is not a problem, it's actually a virtue. It is actually a great asset. We sample different kinds of people's expectations and whatever moves them. And I think that this has somehow or other, at least in some of us, created a sense of well-being. I think we did a few things that were really extraordinary.